Hey guys, it's me again. So I wanted to kind of walk through some basics for you. Um, we do offer our tarot and oracle deck readings, right? And Demita is phenomenal with this. Um, she's got that knack, right? She can pull those cards and she gets just a ton of information from them, and she, can see how they weave together. I think it's beautiful. I love watching her do that. Um, Everybody is different in the way that they work with their decks, right? So she has her way, and then of course, I have my way. So mine's a little bit different. Um, and it doesn't mean it's any less than like what Demita would do. It just means that we see things differently, and we may even get different pieces of information. So she can go in and she can get this, this whole amount of information, and then I may look at it. I could come right over her shoulder. I could look at it and be like, oh, I'm getting this, right? And so there's more additional information that can come through. So each person receives specific information. And so a lot of times when you have two different people, you're going to get even more information. And it's one of those things, you really can't explain it, but that's the way it is. So our plan, what we're wanting to do here is we want to use our deck that we created and do some pulls. Hopefully we can do this every day. Otherwise, we're going to do it as we're guided to do it, right? It maybe we get up one morning, we're like, okay, we need to pull a card, and we just need to let everybody know because there's something that needs to be said. Somebody needs to hear something, right? So we may be doing that, but I want to just do a quick little explanation with cards. The pictures on the cards are meant to evoke something, right? They're going to touch something within you. They're going to deliver information in a variety of ways. It can be any of your senses, smell, touch, taste, sight. It could be something that all of a sudden just pops in your brain. It could be anything. So whenever you're working with your cards, pay attention to anything and everything. And if you need to, write it down, right? So the thing with our deck is that we don't have words and explanations. That's too distracting. It's too limiting. It's boxing up what is in the photo. And it doesn't work that way, because I can look at this and I'm going to see something where Demita might look at this and she's going to see something else. So you can't just look at this and be like, oh, this is what it is. Now you're completely limited, and you're not going to receive the full amount of information that you should. So what you should be doing with cards is obviously, to have that intent or that specific question as you're shuffling, right? And then if there's any cards that leap out or jump out, set them aside. That's additional information. It might be clarifying information, right? It could be something that you really need to know at that moment. So that's why it jumped out. So you're shuffling and you're doing this. And then when you feel comfortable, like, okay, it's been shuffled, you can stop. And then you can start drawing however many cards you want to draw. Okay. Or you could feel like I'm done shuffling, but I kind of feel like I need to cut the deck, right? That's okay too. However it works for you, go with it. There's nothing right or wrong. What we want to do is get the information that we need from the cards. So when you get, you get your card, let me just pull one out here. What am I guided to? This one. Oh, yep. Okay. So what we're doing is we're taking the card, right? And hang on, put these over here. What we're doing is we're taking that card and we are just looking at it and saying, what is it that's jumping out at me right now? What piece of this photo? Maybe it's the whole photo. whatever it is, what is it that's really standing out? And let yourself fall into that, fall inside that, just kind of let your gaze, you know, go soft and just fall into it. Pay attention to everything you get, anything that you get. And if you have to be over here, just writing it down as you're falling into it, and write that information. And then when you feel like you've gotten all you can, back out from it, right? Set it down. If you're working with other cards, do the same thing. Otherwise, you know, if you're pulled to a card, start with that one. Wherever you're being drawn to, no matter how many cards you're working with, whatever you're being drawn to in whatever order, go for it. Go right into it, focus on it, see what you're getting, write it all down, move to the next thing, right? So if you're just dealing with just this one card, I'm going to do a one card pull for today, right? You're going to look at this and you're going to, what's standing out? What is standing out on this photo to me right now, right? So you're looking at it and I'm like, well, the first thing actually that I'm being pulled to the background, right? I'm being pulled to this branch that's here, right? I know you've got all of this other great stuff, but that's what's coming out to me, right? So then I just kind of don't bother having to necessarily look at the rest, and I focus on that branch. And then I'm like, okay, what information am I getting from this? What is that branch? Why is it sticking out? You know, what is it trying to tell me? And for me right now, how I would relate this in where we are today, let's say I've pulled this card for you for today. This is showing me, because the branch it's extending up here. You can see here, and then it's up here, but then, sorry, you can see the branches here, and then it extends up here, but right in this middle, right? It almost, all this wonderful glowy stuff, to me, it almost looks like flames. So for me, I'm seeing like this occurrence that happens, right? So this could be like, well, an occurrence that happens during the day, but honestly, what I'm going to say, what I immediately get is this is the recent eclipse that we had. So we're traveling along and then boom, we had this event that just, for some people, it really shook them, right? And for some it didn't, but there was a major event and then it continues to go on. Plus there's a little fork right there in that branch, isn't there? Right? A little fork right there. So that's telling me that there's an event occurred, and we could relate this to the eclipse. Maybe it's not even, maybe it's an event that's going to happen today. Okay. But you're going to see from this rises, okay, things are going to keep going, but something else, something new is branching out. There's going to be a result, right? So you could take this however you want. If that eclipse meant something to you, something's coming from it. Something's going to branch out from that occurrence. If it's just something maybe that happened within your day, this could be as simple as you read something and had an aha moment. And now you're continuing on your path, but now there's a new branch. Something new is going to come from that, right? Maybe it's just simply a new understanding. And that's the beauty of these, is there's no bounds, there's no limits. You just allow yourself to be guided to whatever it may be. And you may turn back and this card is going to suddenly mean something different to you an hour from now, or maybe the next day if you pull it again, right? Every time that you use these cards, things can be different and there can be different messages within. And it's just using these cards to understand, to your brain, to help your brain understand, like, well, how can we get this message to her? How can we, you know, how can we get it to, let's focus on an item in this picture, right? Let's focus on something. And your brain will understand, hey, let's pull this out so she can relate it to this. She'll understand it to this, or he'll understand it to this, or she'll, right? The person. So there's a lot of different messages you can get. And, you know, if you pull one card and you're like, okay, well, this is really freaking interesting, but I need a little clarification. You can pull the next card. You could cut the deck and pull the card. You could reshuffle entirely and say, I just need some clarification. Give me something on this. Okay, here's what you got. And you set it down, right? Maybe this is going to tell you what it's in relation to. So there's so many different ways that you can do this. So that's kind of a quick run through of how you can work with oracle cards. These are oracle cards. They are not tarot cards. Big difference. We work with oracle decks because we just can't seem to conform to all those rules and all that strict rigidity kind of this is this. Yeah, we are too free flowing. We can't do it. So that is a quick run through for you. And hopefully you can now give it a try and see what kind of results you're going to get.